So during our PLC time, you mentioned that you were having troubles with Frankie. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Okay, so Frankie is really interesting because Frankie, it's his second year of kindergarten. So he went to Crocker, so it's not in the same building. And he's in special ed, and he has a really hard time like retaining. Like you can read the same 3 words with him, and he cannot remember those 3 words.
And looking at his profile, it looks like he was reading at a B. Is that what he's currently reading at?
Yeah, he's in a, so he passed at a B in the winter, and I'm pushing him to a C. And C is really hard for him.
Sure.
And I'm at the point that his group is ready to go to a D, but he's not ready, but he needs to be a
Research kind of says that students shouldn't be pushed beyond a level further than adjacent to them. But if you really feel like he would benefit still from being in that group, I think there's some things we can do to make him successful or feel successful in that and still get what he needs. So you mentioned that he has trouble retaining. What does his sight word data and letter sound data look like?
So for
just from working with you, that you always do a ton to support your students. So what strategies, what kind of interventions are already in place for Frankie?
Yeah, he does sounds with the associate.
Okay.
He does reading with the associate. He does.
Okay, so based on our conversation, it sounds like he's getting a lot of sound practice and a lot of sight word practice. There are 2 strategies that come to mind that I think might help him in some other ways that maybe he's not getting right now. There is phoneme graphing, where he could take some of the book or some of the words that are in the guided reading book that he's going to read, and so this is kind of like a way to prepare him for the book that maybe his other group members aren't getting. And you can take the words out of the book, and then he can actually push up each sound and then connect it to his writing, so he can start to own those words. And maybe you could do that a few times. I don't know how that fits in with your room, whether it's with you or with an associate.
Sure.
But before the book, so that he's already getting multiple exposures to that word before he reads it in the book. Another thought I had that might help him in strategies when he's with the group is a strategy called cross-checking. It's a strategy that will help him with in those pattern books that he'll be reading at that BC level, where it'll be the unknown word, and he'll be able to tell when he uses his eagle eye when he's trying to look at the picture. It'll be a way for him to check if he's getting the right word. So that's another strategy that actually him and the whole group could use.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one.
So I would be happy, if one of those sounds like it might work for you, or you think it might be beneficial for him, I would be happy to come in and model one of those strategies.
I like both of them, actually. I think trying one would be probably best for him, not to overload him.
Absolutely.
I really like the push-up with the sounds with the new words in his book. I think that would take him a little bit further right now in what he's doing. So that would be a good one. Yeah,
that it seems to be successful for a lot of students because it gives them, not only will it give him a lot of exposure before he starts reading the book, but it gives him, a kinesthetic way to think about it, to break up the sounds, and then adding it to his writing, and so he can read it, hear it, and spell it.
Sounds good.
Great. Well, we'll find a time. All right, Frankie. So we're going to do something that's going to help you learn the words in the books that you're going to read with your group, okay? So your teacher might do this with you, or Mrs. Walstead might do this with you, and I'm going to teach you how to do it right now so that you're ready for it next week, okay? Okay, so I got some words out of this book that you're going to read next week called Buddy the Bear, and we're going to learn how to break apart those words and the sounds in those words so you can learn to read them. I'm going to give you a word. So let's say I gave you the word old. So you would say the word. So I say old and you say old.
So you say old and I say old?
Yes. Let's try it. Old.
Old.
Good. So after you say the word, then we're going to tap out the word with our fingers. And we're going to figure out how many sounds are in old. Like this. O, old. Okay, can you do it with me? Yes, 3. Do it with me. O, old. Very good. So if there are 3 sounds, then you're going to take 3 jewels and put them above 3 boxes. Okay, now I want you to say the sounds and pull the jewels down like this. O, old.
Okay.
Okay, you try it.
Oh,
Very good. Now, the next part is we're gonna say the sounds again, but this time when you push up the sound, you're going to write what you hear. So you'll say O for the first sound, and O makes, yep, or O.
Yeah.
So I know that I'm gonna put an O there because it's the O sound. O, O, and we're gonna pull up that sound, O, and an L.
Then you make a D.
Absolutely, very good. Okay, so then we're gonna zap the word after we're done. Okay, so zapping the word means we're gonna read it all. So we said it, we tapped out the sounds, we pulled the sounds down, we wrote them, now we're gonna zap it and read the word. So it was O, old, and when we zap it, it says old. Very good. And then you're going to write the word over here after is lost. Can you say the word?
Lost.
Lost. Now let's tap out the sounds.
O,
Very good. Okay, how many sounds did you hear in lost?
4.
4. So you need 4 beats.
O,
Very good. Now pull down the beads as you say the sounds again.
O,
Very good. Now this time you're going to push up the beads and you're going to write the sounds that you hear.
O,
Very good. Ready to zap it? Let's read it. Zap it.
lost.
Good job. Now write the
Do the word then. Can you say then?
Then,
Good. Can we tap the sounds? How many are in then? How many sounds is that?
3.
Okay. How many jewels are you gonna pick?
3.
Good. Can you put them above the boxes? Right here. Good. Now I want you to move down the jewel when you say each sound. Ready? Now, Good. All right. This time when you pull them down, I want you to write the sounds that you hear. Okay. Okay. Ready? Or is it push up? Good. Now this time when you push up, sorry, I did it wrong. This time when you push up, you're thanks.
Thanks for working with us, Frankie. So you'll get to do this with Mrs. Wallstead or with Mrs. G before you read books, and then you'll learn all these words. So when it's time to read your book, how did you think the strategy went for Frankie?
I actually think it went really well, and it'll be something that I think will work for him.
Mhm.
I mean, it looked like he was remembering the word, which in itself is hard for him.
It did look like that. I liked how in the word you did, when you had to stop and correct him, then you went back and had him do the sounds again before he zapped it.
Sure.
Because I think he needed that.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
So I think it went really well, and it says on the sheet that I gave you with the steps
Yeah.
that you are supposed to automatically correct, and I like that you picked up on that. That way they're making sure that they're practicing,
Sure.
the correct way.
Okay.
So I know we talked just a little bit about how you might utilize this. So you think your associate might do this?
Yeah, I was thinking my associate picking those words out of the book that he's going to read that week, since he reads towards the end of the week. She would meet with him maybe twice before, and then I would meet with him one time before, and then he had been met with 3 times before he's reading that book.
Sure. Are you thinking
so.
that you would do the same words all 3 of those times?
I'm not sure. Maybe I'll focus. I'll just see how it goes. Maybe
Right.
I'll focus on 2 words the first day with Mrs. Wallstead, then 2 more words the next day, and then maybe 2 more words so it can just build upon, but
Sure.
maybe also still review the words that he did.
That would
So,
be good, especially if
yeah.
you think that his memory, his ability to retain is
Yeah.
low. The
I
fact
mean-
that you would go back and review before.
Do you
before the
think
book.
I should do all of them each time, or do you think building on it would be best?
Well,
I'll do whatever.
he seemed to do good with the 4 words. I mean, he was
Mhm.
able to focus, and it didn't seem to tire him.
Yeah.
So maybe choosing around that 4-word
Okay.
mark works, and then if you want to introduce a couple new words, but then build
Okay.
upon that. I like the idea of him seeing that word more than one time
Yeah.
before he
Okay.
gets to the book.
So maybe I'll try that first and see how it goes.
So I know we talked about how we don't really necessarily want to put a student that's at a level more than one, adjacent to the level that they're
Yeah.
at. We don't want them to be in a group that's further away than that. But I also think that, with all the work you're doing with sight words and with
Yeah.
letter sounds, and then now introducing this, he may be supported enough to handle it.
Sure.
How would you feel if, if you feel like this doesn't work for him? How would you feel about the possibility of doing a group alone for him?
I would definitely be open to doing a group alone with him. I just want him to succeed, so I'll do
Right.
whatever it takes. So it'll be really interesting to see how he does as a group with
Mhm.
this, and then if not, then we can definitely move to that one-on-one.
Sure.
Mhm.
Well, keep me posted on how he does with this,
Okay.
and if you see improvement,
Okay.
and then we can always explore some other strategies. And if you feel like you want to pull him in a group on his own, I do have an example of a quick 10-minute individual guided reading lesson that I could show you too.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.